Hi, Tom and Marko here, and we're here to have a discussion about arcade-style sports games.
Yep.
In the last couple years, EA has brought back NBA Jam and NFL Blitz. And though they look a little different, there's a couple new modes, they're basically the same games that we grew up with 17 years ago, 15 years ago. I find this really fascinating.
Okay.
Because it dips into the nostalgia factor, because I played the heck out of these games when I was a kid, and like playing them again, it's like, oh, I know this. But the other time, I'm like hesitant, because like, should we be buying games that I already know? Shouldn't this be evolving?
But
so we kind of wanted to settle this. We wanted to get this on the table and things. So what are your thoughts? I mean, you reviewed NBA Jam on Fire Edition.
Yes, I reviewed it.
NFL Blitz and NBA Jam.
Yes.
So we're both like very familiar with these.
Yes, I've actually been playing a lot of Blitz in the past couple of days in preparation for this, because it's just to make sure that I know what I'm talking about, so I don't pull stuff out of my bum,
Okay, so what are your thoughts about this? Because they basically took 15-year-old game design and they just brought it to the modern era. There's no real changes. So the hits are the same in Blitz and the baskets are the same in Jam. So what do you feel about this?
See, for me, I think that's a good thing. The fact that they didn't try to, regurgitate. Look, actually, they are regurgitating in the sense that they're bringing back something that we are familiar with, but they're not taking it and changing it, putting on its axis and like really screwing up the formula. Because these are series that are meant to be, reminding us of why those games are so good 20 years ago.
Because we have had blitzes that added an 8th player. There's the recent ones that changed everything. They got rid of the NFL license.
Yes.
The NBA Jam added a 3rd player. There's the Street Ball ones. There's all these different things that added we didn't like as much. So they did strip it down to what we liked, the 7-on-7 and the 2-on-2 action. So you like this?
I love it, actually.
Okay.
I can't, for me, last year, NBA Jam on Fire was one of my favorite games of the year.
Okay.
Because of the fact that I could jump into at any time, play for a couple of days, take a break, come back in a month or two, and the exact same experience hasn't changed. It feels the exact same, and you can start and just keep playing like nothing happened.
And you can play with people who aren't really familiar with sports games.
Exactly. I think
nice.
that's a huge part of any successful game, is that being able to bring in the audience that doesn't typically play that game. If you can successfully do that, you've got a top seller right there.
Okay. I guess one of the things that's tough for me is, I've played this so much and then there's a gap, like a decade gap, and all of a sudden I'm playing it again and it's like the same problems exist. Like there's the rubber banding AI where all of a sudden you're fumbling, you're throwing interceptions, and then there's like weird rules where you throw a forward pass but it's rule to fumble in NFL Blitz. Like there's these weird quirks that I kind of wish they'd ironed out, but they gave it to us so pure from what it was that it's like flaws and all.
I think they sometimes purposely do that. I know, going off topic not off topic, but off genre, with Halo Anniversary, they purposely kept in all the flaws that were part of that game because they wanted to remind people, hey, this is how the game looked like and felt like back in that day. And I think they purposely do that. Even with, one of the big sticking points with NBA Jam is the fact that non-stop rubber banding. Like, you can be kicking butt, and then all of a sudden the computer will just get everything. Everything will fall in place.
5 straight 3-pointers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess from the other angle, it's like, don't we want this games to evolve? Like, the Virtual Console is amazing. You get to play these old, Super Nintendo and Nintendo games in their original forms. But if they're not evolving past that, then we don't actually know what sports games are capable of. So it's like, is there an arcade-style sporting event that could be better than Blitz or better than NBA Jam, or is this really the pinnacle, you think?
I think without changing the formula too much, you have to leave it the way it is. Because EA has tried to change the formula for both sports. With NBA, they did NBA Street. With NFL, they did NFL on Tour. They did their own version of NFL Street, which was okay, but it wasn't that great. Like, they tried to, evolve the series, and people wanted Blitz.
Okay.
They wanted NBA Jam. Street, I think NBA Street did succeed, and it's a very popular franchise. I could see EA bringing that franchise back, but with NFL Street and then they did NFL Tour, those games just fell apart. They were just not fun.
That is true. It's almost what Midway did with Mortal Kombat against Warner Brothers now, because they kept changing with weapons and 3D, and then this newest one, the 9th one, the same game is that we grew up with, Mortal Kombat 2, with just like better graphics.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of what EA is doing with the Blitz and the NBA Jam, is it's an affordable price, $15, and they're not messing with it. I don't know. I guess it's scary for me for the long-term prospect of it, but it is like fun right now.
See, my concern is then not so much the evolution of the series and of the sports, is what do they do next? Is EA going to release a NFL Blitz 2013, 2014? Yeah. And if that's the case, then I'm going to be worried, because it's going to be the exact same product with just minor changes here and there.
It is true. And then you get to the part where they add stuff that makes it not as good by adding the 8th player.
Yeah.
And we already saw with NBA Jam, they've released 2 of them. The first one was a $50 disc.
Yeah.
which was way too much money for what it was, but it was still fun. And then last year it was a $15 downloadable thing. But they're the same basic games with a couple new modes.
Minor changes, I think for EA, with at least with NBA Jam, they heard the complaints that people had with the first game. With On Fire, they just stuck with the Jam formula. They did make some minor changes where they changed up, the scoring system, but in terms of the actual core gameplay, nothing was really tampered with.
So it almost seems like it's a problem with like sports games as a whole. Is once you get that gameplay down, once like NBA 2K realizes what it is, then it's just the bells and whistles around that.
Yeah.
And I guess that's one of the reasons I kind of get burned out with like the retail games, the $60 games, because it's the same game basically over and over again. And I don't really want that with Blitz, because I like it, and it'd be nice to wait a couple years if they can't reinvent the formula.
I agree.
I'm curious where they go from here, but
I think the only thing right now that they could do is, update rosters. I know with NBA Jam On Fire, they were promising online updated rosters.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened yet. They're promising that it will eventually happen. They haven't given a date. Some of the complaints. My complaint with NFL Blitz is that rosters are already out of date in the game when it was launched.
Yes.
Gronkowski, he's not in the game. He should be in the game.
Kentuan Balmer is on the 49ers, even though he was traded in August of 2010.
I'm still upset that Quest Field is still referenced in the game, and they changed that, almost a year ago. So there are those things that, those I wouldn't mind seeing if they do like free patches where, free updates. That I'd be happy with. That's kind of like rewarding people. And then, next year when, at holiday times, people still want to buy the game because the core gameplay is still the same.
That is true. Well, it seems like we're both kind of on the same page with this. Like we like what they're doing, but we're kind of hesitant about the future.
Yeah.
So you guys have heard what Marko and I have to say about arcade-style sports games. What do you guys think? What do you want from the future of this genre? EA has an uphill battle because they brought back exactly what we wanted, and now that we have what we wanted, what do they do?
What do they do next? Well, I think right now they're probably going to wait and see. They don't really publicly state, how much they've sold with Blitz, with NBA Jam On Fire. So maybe for them, if they see that as a success, maybe they'll just leave it as is. Or reversely, they'll be greedy and they'll release an update just for the sake of, getting 1,500 Microsoft points or whatever, 1,200 Microsoft points.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I guess that wraps up our discussion. We didn't really settle anything.
No, not at all.
But we like these games, but we're hoping EA can figure out something.
If not EA, some other developer, some other publisher, find a way to, get our money.
And find a way to bring late hits back, because that's what we really want.
Yes.